A Kaaba and welcome to Inside Oyotunji 2010, the year in review. We bring you winter solstice greetings and we are sitting in for the Igbe Rohingya Day, and this is our 40th anniversary edition of Year in Review. 2010 was the Chinese Year of the Tiger, and the celebration of the 40th year since the founding of North America's oldest, authentic African Yoruba village in the United States. And it has indeed been a year of sudden opportunities, extremes, and bold actions. Oyotunji was no exception. In this edition, we will bring you a glance back at some of the festivals and special events that took place in the kingdom, and even more amazing travel footage of His Royal Majesty Adejuyigbe Adefumi to Detroit, the birthplace of our founding father, Oba Adefumi I, for the U.S. Forum on Social Reform.
We need to begin to attack the curriculum.
We went to D-Town Farms, City Roots Urban Farm in Columbia, South Carolina, and the 3rd Annual Growing Power Conference in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
So whatever was the traditional diet, that has to come back.
We want to keep this conversation going, but we really want to get the work done.
As well as the ACR RDC Coalition Building Workshop at High Point, North Carolina in the spring. Now the big conversation being had throughout the nation is food sovereignty.
This should be education. If you're not learning this in high school or middle school, what are you learning?
And we, with boots on the ground, move through our second full year of this, our new sustainable food movement. Oyotunji continues to put together our 5-year strategic planning process of moving towards a sustainable future.
You've got to have roots to the land.
Great Benin Films has produced a powerful and informative documentary that is available for viewing in your communities. Back when spring was budding and the weather was warmer, the annual Odun Oshun was celebrated in Oyotunji, the beauty and culture of our mother Orisha captured here in the kingdom. In this anniversary year, there were 4 major festivals. The next, of course, is always the largest and longest, the Festival of Egungun. As tourists visit the Palmetto State, once again, Oyotunji for the 24th consecutive year opened the Gullah Festival, held every Memorial Day weekend in Beaufort, South Carolina. Those present for the royal customs were re-energized by the movement of Oba Adefumi I's ancestral masquerade, saluting the legacy of history made in the last 4 decades of cultural restoration. Also in the spring, we enjoyed the annual visit from our friends at Habasha, These dynamic nation-building young people come to Oyotunji every year in the spring ahead of the trip they take to the homeland. Habesha stands for Helping Africa by establishing schools at home and abroad.
And really the whole mission is to prepare our youth to be able to see themselves beyond just the U.S. borders, but also to see themselves internationally and globally.
During this and every visit, many skills, stories, and knowledge are shared.
I share, it's necessary. I really do believe that's going to be the unifying factor of our generation. The unifying factor of my parents' generation was the civil rights movement. Trying to get quote unquote free. Most movements are started because of an enemy, some type of enemy. Our enemy now is overconsumption and overuse.
This year, the young people were very honored with a personal tour of the kingdom by His Royal Majesty Oba Adeji Igbe Adefumi.
And so we want to take a bold step once again. We want to take a bold step and create homes that can give back to the environment as opposed to take from the environment. So take something negative and make it positive.
The Oba wanted to make sure that some of the new sustainable ventures in the kingdom were pointed out, and the young people were encouraged to make choices in the development that not only build community, but maintain and sustain it.
We came and brought the youth here to Oyotunji primarily as a preparation for them actually touching on the soil of Africa. Being an authentic African experience and seeing people who are living out the culture, not just on holidays, on certain special occasions, but an everyday thing.
Oyotunji is inspiration for us in the sense that we talk about seeing ourselves as Africans. And many times that's abstract, especially with the youth. So this is a way for them to be able to, like, you mentioned boots on the ground. So it's a real live situation where they can see. We work with youth, and we see the need for our youth to have this infused into their life all the time, not just once in a while Black history, but as a part of what they do.
In June, His Majesty and entourage traveled to Detroit for the U.S. Forum on Social Reform, sponsored by the People's Assembly Movement.
Women of color generally, African women in particular, have for a number of years been the largest, fastest growing segment of the prison population.
They're modifying the protein in seeds. It changes on its own, and they don't know how it's going to change. So the change quite often is toxic or poisonous.
That the politics of the Muslim world are local politics in Detroit. What's going on in Palestine is a local issue in Detroit.
We are absolutely lefty. We're pro-choice, we're anti-war, we are against the death penalty. We are against the criminalization of substance abuse. We believe that substance abuse is an illness, not a crime.
This glance back to news you didn't see on CNN covers the conversations of grassroots movements worldwide that were 25,000 strong in the Motor City. A lot was learned, the least of which is that there are no major supermarkets left in Detroit.
All of the major grocery stores have left the city of Detroit.
Our efforts to build stronger collaborations with groups working boots on the ground, we visited D-Town Farms, a growing power regional outreach training center. More than inspiring, this trip also coincided with the anniversary of Michael Jackson's interest into the ancestral realm.
In his music, he tried to bridge the gap between people.
And a personal salute by His Royal Majesty to the birthplace of Oyotunji's founder, Oba Efuntala Adefumi I.